Yes, we're live. How about that?
Woo!
And what kind of pleasure I have here. There's so amazing talent sitting in front of me.
Aww.
I got to know you guys a little better being here. And
Yeah, don't stop now. Keep going.
no,
You just started.
It's great. So we are here in Troja, Portugal, at THU. Thanks to this guy who's sitting there off camera.
Andre! The
Hell
sound
yeah.
guy is probably dying right now. We just clapped into the
Some people are
microphone.
just like, what the? Andre's here? Andre's here? Like, they don't care about us. They care about that guy. How you guys doing?
Awesome.
Good, excellent.
Last day too. Can you believe it?
Enjoying it?
So fast. Yeah.
So fun.
Yeah.
It's you can tell it's the last day when I drink Red Bull. That's how you can tell.
You can tell the stories about drinks in the Oasis.
Oh God,
You could do that.
no.
Yeah, it's a happy birthday, David, by the way.
What?
Today's
Thank
David's
you.
birthday.
Happy
Yeah.
birthday,
Yeah, I'm
man.
25 finally. You know?
Yeah, let's start with that. So
You can
let's-
drink and go out with girls now? And damn, lucky you.
I try to embarrass you at the Oasis, so let's embarrass you now live
and
in
that
front of
worked.
everyone who's
Please.
watching it, and then all the thousands of views of this video that's gonna happen afterwards.
Yeah.
Happy
Well,
birthday, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Nice.
I
What's
was
your, what's your
very-
birthday wish?
Well, no more killed animals. No,
All
here you go.
right, I'm with you there.
That's a
Yes,
good one.
amen.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a good one.
Yeah, it is.
Good one. And we'll talk about this because I knew about Expedition Art a little before I got to see your presentation here. And then when I saw your presentation, I was like, fuck. Okay, we have to do something. And it just
Thank
all
you, thank you.
connected at the right, at the right time, at
takes
the right place.
It takes yeah, I mean, everything happens for a reason. You know, it's not a miraculous thing that occurs, I think. It wasn't my idea. It's something that's been close to my heart, just growing up. And then like-minded people just sort of fall together. And, you know, David and Kristy were a no-brainer because we've been together for 18 years now as working in the industry, along with Thierry. And immediately, Terrell, Iain, Aaron Blaze came into my head. And Terrell actually suggested Aaron immediately, and Iain has been there all this time. It was just a matter of reaching him. And everything just falls into place, you know. And just the amount of the reception that we're getting from people is truly amazing. Everybody supports the cause, and art-driven, using art to educate, I think is a perfect tool.
Yeah, and art to connect.
Yeah.
As I was saying on that stage.
We're going to
wanna make the
unpack
animals personal.
everything we've talked about just now, and I guess a good moment to start with it would be to get you guys introduced a little bit.
Oh yeah.
I think the only person, honestly, you don't have to get introduced, but
I can.
there's a slight chance that
There may be one person
the one person
in the world somewhere.
in the world, and how dare you not knowing who those people are
Well, Iain
already right
Mccaig,
away.
yes.
I don't care if you don't unsubscribe. Fuck you. You have to know those people.
My mom is watching, so please mind the words, okay?
Okay. I'll reduce my cursing by 15%.
I'm joking.
That was Portuguese anyways.
Yeah, I'm joking.
All right, then I'll increase it for another 20.
Yeah. The only thing my mom's doing right now is sending me private messages on my Facebook page.
Did you add
On the wall, on
did
the
you
wall.
add your mom on the Facebook?
Well, I didn't have any choice, I guess. You know? So
Is she posting under your pictures like,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
David, what are you doing?
she has been, yes. Especially since I've been teaching. I don't know why. You know?
How old is your mom?
She's 70 now.
Wow. Can I just tell you, treasure every day.
I
My mom and dad are gone, and it only hits you like a few years afterwards.
Yeah.
But I would give anything for a time machine right now. There were so many things I should have asked, so many things I should have messaged them on Facebook and so on, right?
Yeah.
You know, and we were close. We did talk a lot, but yeah, ask the stuff now that you really would regret not asking later. And it's hard. It's hard to
Yeah.
appreciate it. It's funny what you were saying too about, you know, everybody knows me except that one person or whatever. But as time goes on, nobody knows you.
Yeah.
Right, unless you get lucky and you're a Shakespeare. But that's as it should be, right? Stories are meant to end. Things are meant to grow in their place and stuff like that. I don't mind whether people know me or not. I mind whether they remember what I did. right? And
Right.
The characters you create and the changes we made in the world, you want those to last. That's what's important.
Yeah, I loved what you said earlier about just making every day count
Yeah.
and really trying to make your story as full as possible.
This
So-
is not a dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
This is it.
Unless you're Sid Mead,
Unless you're Sid Mead.
then none of it matters.
But even Sid Mead, I ask young people these days, so who is Boris Karloff? A lot of
Nobody
them
knows.
stare at me blank.
I
go,
honestly
who is
don't
the
know either.
But who is the Frankenstein Monster?
Right.
You know
Everyone
that.
knows.
Well, he was the Frankenstein Monster. He was the very first person to play that. Actually, that's not true. There was a silent version, and there was another version before. But he was the first Frankenstein
Famous.
Monster. Remember, he's the icon.
Right.
Right? And he had a 40-year career when I was a kid, and when I was growing up, you say Boris Karloff, people shiver and smile because he was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, not anymore. And one day Norman Rockwell will be like that, and
Yep.
you know, all the icons of the art world, they'll mostly move on and disappear, and then resurface some distant era. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes, I agree.
I always say
Absolutely.
that it's kind of the artist cross to bear. As artists, we always seek for being recognized,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And then, ironically, our self will be just like seeping into the world without us being ever named. You know what I mean? Like people like Moebius and Sid Mead, you know, they created so many things that are present in our daily lives.
and changed and molded so many people.
That's
Mobius, you
exactly
said
right.
Mobius, and like every cell in my body stood up and applauded.
yeah.
You know?
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if I do strive for any attention or acclaim though. It's nice in that you owe it a responsibility if you're on a stage. You owe it to your audience to answer them, to be responsible, to show with your life what you believe
Exactly.
in. But I never asked for that. I never
Yeah.
really wanted it much. And I know that it's hard. It's hard on your partner. It's hard on someone who might be very private, that you're a very public person. So in
Yeah.
my
That's
marriage,
true.
I know we've had to manage that a lot.
That's very true.
You know?
Yeah.
My house is the Fortress of Solitude. People don't know where it is. It's in Canada, by the way.
Don't tell them.
Too late.
Don't tell them.
It's a big place, I think.
It's a big place. Thank you.
It's a big place. It's somewhere in Canada.
Right.
Near
Somewhere
the
there.
otters.
Right.
Somewhere
Near the
there.
otters.
Near the otters.
Like right near the otters. We have a family of 7 where I am, and otters are my favorite animals.
Nice.
I
Nice.
know another guy who's
Yeah, I know. Thierry.
Thierry.
Yeah.
From
other-
Expedition Art. That's
Yeah,
his
yeah.
favorite animal too.
Well, they're
Otter lovers.
very playful. They're so awkward when they're walking on the ground, kind of like a worm, and then they get in the water and
Nimble.
aerodynamic.
Yeah.
Best
Just
hunters.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Freaking nature, man.
Well, what's your favorite animal?
Tigers, I think.
Tigers, yeah.
Yeah, tigers are my favorite.
What is it about tigers?
I don't know. They're just beautiful animals, and they kill you right away. And,
Only,
um,
well, but only if they're hunting and hungry.
yeah,
They don't
exactly.
just kill for killing. They kill
No,
when they
this,
need
this
to.
is just nature.
Yeah, because you look at a hunt that's happened.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
You go down to the watering hole. Tigers go down and drink too.
Yeah.
And if the animals know that they're fed,
Matter of fact, my first nickname online was Tiger 1313.
Oh, really?
Most lame name you could
I
come up
remember.
with.
There
I
you go.
totally
Siege and
remember.
Forums.
Yeah, I totally remember.
Yeah.
It's funny how every day, like, little things like that, like you calling yourself Tiger 1313, like animals.
That's so lame, by the way.
well,
the lamest thing.
But
13
you know what?
is my
You-
favorite number.
but you can make it special, right?
Right.
You can go save 13 tigers. You can raise $13,000. You can do something now that makes people
That's a
realize.
great idea.
Oh, I think that's a great
That's an
challenge.
awesome
He
idea.
honored
It's so
that
funny.
name.
So funny you said
Let's
that.
honor that. You know what? I should file for a name change once I get my U.S. passport.
You know what? Or,
Just call myself Tiger.
or start a GoFundMe fund called Tiger 1313. You know,
Yeah, that'd be a good GoFundMe, man. Tiger 1313.
do it. I'll contribute.
Yeah.
Stuff.
I'll contribute to it.
That's a thought that was born right here,
That's
and
exactly
you know
right.
what? Let's try it.
And that's the way this all happened as well. It was very organic.
Okay, so I want to jump into this,
Okay.
but I want you guys to be introduced first.
All right.
So I will not do it in honors of introducing you.
Okay.
Because I fucking will destroy your names to a point where.
All right,
Like,
Magic.
did you say my name correctly? No? Okay.
All right.
So I'll let you guys have a couple of minutes for you to introduce yourself. I also want you guys to know that I posted the link to this feed on my Facebook. If you want to ask questions, please post it on Facebook
Okay.
under the link, and I'll read them towards the end, and we will discuss those things. That's the usual format thing. So
Oh, that's great.
we're gonna have a break in about 40 minutes for 10 minutes. We're doing it with with THU is kind enough to provide equipment and support. We have every single person here
Yeah, they've been
helping
great.
out.
Phenomenal.
This is the most produced art cafe ever. It's like the budget of this is surpassing the budget of my computer and all of the episodes, including my own time.
It's okay. Just take credit for it.
Yeah, I'm just absolutely taking credit for all of you guys. I'm joking. No, it's absolutely wonderful what you guys are doing here. So let's take advantage of that. So
Sweet.
awesome.
So we'll start with the ladies.
Sure. I'm Kristy Tipton. I'm a co-founder of Expedition Art.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And a great interviewer. She asked me some really
Oh
good
yeah.
questions the other day.
You're a little more than that. You're also a very interesting person.
Well, thank you.
And she's a producer of us as artists
as a
and
team.
people.
Yep.
She's been producing our life for a few years now.
They are. What's your favorite animal is?
It's the lion, for sure.
Male or female? Doesn't matter.
Female, of course.
Ah, duh.
All the women are the most powerful. animal kingdom.
They're the
We
hunters.
might not be as flashy, but we're, certainly responsible for the kill every once in a while.
Some pretty flashy.
No, yeah. When the Cubs are around,
Yeah.
Yeah, watch out.
watch out.
That's right, world.
Watch out.
I think there's some similarities there. Maybe
Yeah,
I'm a
maybe.
little protective of my guys sometimes.
Oh, you have kids?
Of these guys.
We're
Of those
just
two.
How old are your children?
Your kids. Your kids,
we are her
basically.
kids
I heard
too.
one's having a
There's
birthday today.
no doubt about that.
And you being part of us now,
Yes.
it's you fall under that protection. So
Mom.
So I'm Iain Mccaig. I'm a storyteller. Got lucky enough to draw and write those stories, and also stand up on stages and present them. And yeah, I can't think of anything more fulfilling than a good story, and that includes the lives that we live. Try to make them count. Try to make them fun. Cherish the ones that other people have, and just read and watch and
Yeah.
enjoy. What a gift that we make this thing, this make-believe world that can make people cry, make them laugh. I mean, it's talk about magic.
I'm nerding out, by the way.
Oh,
But that's the thing. Like when so we started Expedition Art as really like a very primitive blog, you know.
Yeah.
It didn't go very far, you know. But then Kristy came about. I mean, she was about from the beginning, but she really said, "Okay, guys, we got to make this properly organized." Oh, Manny and I were like, "Okay." So she really put it together in a way that was much more professional and planned for a book and things like that. And suddenly, I mean, Manny and Kristy started talking to Iain, and Manny calls me one day. He's like, "Hey, Iain Mccaig is on board." I was like, "What? What?"
well, it's been a very busy career. You know, I've got lucky working on the Star Wars and
yeah.
the Harry Potters and the things like that. But
I grew up on your work.
Oh,
So,
Same here.
so that's what I began.
likewise.
yeah.
Excellent.
Just
But-
putting it out there.
The first art book I ever owned was the one with your work. You know,
What?
because in France it was very hard to get art books. You know,
What was it called? Shadow.
Yeah, Shadow Line.
Shadow Line.
We're
Yeah.
reprinting that now. With if you look in the middle, it looks like chewing gum stuck in there. But those are little booklets with classes on how to draw. So we're expanding that. There'll be a DVD in the back that actually has a bigger course
phenomenal.
of stuff. And then Shadow Lines, the sequel, comes out a few years after that.
I was actually talking about the art book of that little movie called Star Wars.
Oh, that one! Oh, that art book.
Yeah.
Oh, that little thing.
That's the one I'm talking about.
That
And,
whole
and I
thing.
remember seeing the concept of Princess Amidala just being. I've never seen that ever in my life. I mean, I couldn't understand how someone could just create something.
Love,
Out of their mind.
joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that book, your work, Ryan Church, Eric Tiemens,
Yeah.
all of those guys, and I was like, guess fuck my life.
It was a game changer for this
Yeah.
whole industry.
Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
There was no way you can do work that good, and then the drive. Let's
I tell you a
get
funny
that
story
good.
about that, though. So I work late, usually, very, very late. So it's Skywalker Ranch. That means you're all alone. The room, the third floor, which the previous group named themselves after that, but it's the art department previous group.
I had no idea, by the way.
Yeah,
about the name.
that's the third floor.
That's very
And
funny.
nobody goes up there but George Lucas and the artists. And in fact, there's a sort of secret staircase that only George goes up. So when you hear footsteps on it, you know who's coming. So it's 11, midnight, something like that. And I hear footsteps on the secret staircase. It's like, oh, but I'm so deeply into my drawing of Padme that I didn't care who it was. And door opens, yeah, it's George.
And he comes in and he's kind of looking at the art, and Doug had left some stuff lying around, so he just stands there for a while, and I utterly forgot about him. But the next thing I know, he's like standing right beside me, and he's just staring at the Padme I'm drawing, because he told me later he was in love with her. They would only marry the woman that I created. So he reaches over and he grabs the drawing off the desk and he goes, "The question is, Iain, who is she? Who is she?" And when you're deep in drawing land, you know what it is. You speak your truth. You speak from your heart. And I went, "George, she's me." And I saw this look of horror on his face. And I went, "They're all me, George. I'm Darth Maul. Rename me Dala." And as he backed away, his last words were, "You need help."
Just put him on the spot.
Yeah.
You said he loves your characters, and then you just admitted he loves you.
The point is, you got to draw from the inside out.
Yeah.
You know, if you're really going to put life in there.
It's like storytelling,
That's
story
why your
writing.
animals
Yeah.
are so beautiful.
Oh, thank you, Iain.
You're not drawing what an animal looks like. You're drawing what an animal is because you're feeling.
Well, yeah, what I admire about Manny's work is really that it's alive.
Yeah, let's talk about
It's not
Manny. Who
something
is Manny?
static, you know?
So who is Manny?
Who is that guy?
Manny.
Who is that guy with the fancy cowboy hat?
Manny is a guy that loves to draw. I was inspired by Iain Mccaig's of the world. And the animals of the world. I've been a concept artist for quite a long time now. Went into video games animation. Met David Levy 19 years ago, along with Kristy. And we've been together since. Been through ups and downs and things falling apart and coming back together. But always, I talked about it earlier, I feel like the last horrible incident that happened to us was a bit like a forest burning down. But from that burn, from that horrible tragedy, new growth happens.
Yeah.
And it's blooming, and then it accelerates, and it's turning into a forest, which consists of Kristy, Terrell Whitlatch, Iain, David, Aaron Blaze. It's just been phenomenal. We started Expedition Art, and it's been great. It's something that we talked about. There was not really a plan. We knew what we wanted to do. We wanted to educate people on wildlife, the environment, and through our art. And it's just turned into sort of a beast of its own, which is amazing, which is great.
I think ultimately it started from a very kind of, I would say, almost childish desire.
Excuse
Sorry.
me. Who you are?
Sorry.
Who are you?
Who are you?
Where are you?
Who is this guy that everybody wants to know?
So my name is. I am a David Levy. You know?
David Levy?
This is a French guy faking an American guy doing a French accent.
guy,
Yeah, that's my new routine.
Talented.
Yeah, everyone knows who you are, I guess.
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
So
My name is.
you worked on all films.
My name is David Levy. I worked on first in video game industry for 15 years on titles such as Assassin's Creed, Prince of Persia, and then as Turok, Dinosaur Hunter.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Nintendo forever. And then I moved to the movie industry. I was very, very lucky. I feel that was really the luckiest day of my life when Tron at Disney was started, Tron Legacy, the sequel. They contacted me, and that changed my life forever. And since then, I've been working in the movie industry, and I feel like the luckiest artist in the world.
I remember seeing that short that Joe released.
Yeah.
And I was like, this looks awesome. I wonder who was the student that did that? And then I realized it was Joe Kosinski.
Yeah.
And then I remember I was working at Crytek, and I saw some of the work you guys been releasing. It's like, how on earth are you able to do that kind of stuff? Because it was just mind blowing. It's like the style of work, and like the clean lines and the beautiful production design.
I wish I could take full credit for that.
You should.
But sadly, Darren Guilford and Joe Kosinski are, to this day, this is still the best project I ever worked on because of those two people. I mean, Darren was such an amazing leader that I would have jumped off a cliff if he had not asked me, hopefully.
He would buy you a donut first.
Probably. Thankfully, he never asked me that, so
Yeah.
that was good, And to jump back into expedition art, I think, I'm going to be very honest here, I never really talked about it, but I think I arrived at a point in my life, I worked non-stop for 25 years, mostly overtime, most of my life, and I burnt out. I really, really did. Also, my father passed away when I was working on Tron, right in the middle of the project. And I had a serious introspection, fell into depression for a while. And what came out of it is childhood. The happiest moments I had with my father when I was a kid were when he took me sailing. We did a lot of sailing during French holidays, because in France we do have holidays. And we went to sailing to Corsica, went sailing to Sicily, went sailing to South Spain. And I will never forget, after an amazing night looking at stars, because when you're on the boat, there's no light surrounding you.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you see you see the Milky Way perfectly, and makes you realize that we're actually a solar system, that we're living in the middle of a ginormous Milky Way,
Yeah.
And
it's a history. It really is.
It's-
Everything that you see, it's million
it's
years
past,
ago.
exactly.
That's crazy.
And after a night like that, first of all, the morning when I woke up, the first thing I saw was a whale. And I will, you work on so many projects and you go through so many things and so much hard work, and all this is almost a blur, And you
Yeah.
remember the people, But strangely, in the middle of that depression, that's what came back to me.
And the events, right? that
Nature.
happen in your life.
Exactly right. And at that point, Manny and I were really kind of down in the dumps, after leaving our company and things like that.
You guys had a fallout with Steambot.
That's
and
correct.
There was
Yeah.
some drama there.
That's correct. And strangely, I thought, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to do another company. It's going to be better, and we're going to kick their ass. And at some point, I was like, you know what? This is so futile,
Yeah.
and
Meaningless.
And Manny and I have always been about outdoors, and I remember Manny calling me, and I told him how I felt about everything. And we started saying, well, you know what? We're just artists. We're not politicians. We're not lawyers. We're not, doctors, But we have passion. We love nature. And we have a responsibility. Even if it's just a drop in a giant ocean, it's our responsibility to try something before I'm gone from this earth, and without a feeling that I didn't do what I should have done as a human, which is thank the earth for being around me and nurturing me the way
Inspiring.
this planet is nurturing us so much, and we take it for granted.
Nah, we do. And you know what? Every drop, it either splashes or it ripples.
That's
So,
exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, I
So
think that's a really common thing. When we talk to artists across all different kinds of disciplines, everyone at one point or another has been influenced by animals in their drawing, nature, in the colors and textures and environments that they paint. And so, if we ruin that, that's really horrible.
That's the
Fucked.
end, yeah.
That's horrible.
If we ruin it more.
We ruin
Yeah,
it
if we
more.
ruin it more,
Yeah.
absolutely.
To the point you said when you saw the Milky Way and all that. I remember when I was a kid, I used to go to my grandma's farm like every year for vacation, and I was like, for all of my childhood, those were the best memories I had, and the most memorable moments for me still till today, apart from just hanging out with my family and having those really good family moments, was one night when my grandfather said like he woke me up in the middle of the night, and I was like, come, I'll show you something. And he prepared like a little bench right in the middle of a field. He walked me there and sit and look. And the amount of dots you see in the sky. You see those photos, those HDR photos of the sky. At first, it's all dark because your eyes adjust. But the moment your eyes adjust, it's exactly like that photo. There's so many dots out there. And it's depressing. Like I'm right now in LA, and well, not right now, but when I look up, I see nothing but just
You know what, though?
underlit.
The trick in LA is don't look up, look down. And what you see are all these people everywhere.
Yeah.
And those are animals too.
That's amazing.
What I like about it is if by observing us and the way we interact and so on, you're reminded of the echoes you see in the animal world of exactly the same kind of societies and groups and so on. But you watch places where they don't go to war on each other. You watch cultures that live very happily together. So you can find that in our world, You know,
Yeah.
if you look, you can see groups that are actually helping each other out. You can see people that you can see great acts of kindness and creativity and all the rest. So looking down gives me that same sense of wonder that I get looking up at the stars.
Right.
Except sometimes, you know, bit of pride that there's that in us too, right? You
And
know,
it's what you're talking about. It's a little scarce, especially in LA.
I don't know. It depends where you look.
I
Even-
guess.
I lived, or rather, my studio was right off Sunset Boulevard, Sunset and La Brea. So we were
Oh,
right
okay.
downtown, and there were the homeless communities that would move around and so on. I saw a lot of kindness there. I saw the kindness from people passing by and even
Yeah.
within the groups. You know, I saw a lot of ugly stuff too.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember that that's in all of us. You know, we're very lucky to have what we have and to not be dealing with that. But no, it's people that fascinate me more than the stars.
Yeah,
I
we're
think
like
what you
developed
just, sorry,
monkeys.
I'm going to jump on that because you just sparked an idea in my head. Is that what's fascinating is that humans, you know, are a lot about war, about hate,
Yeah.
but also about love. And I think there's something where a lot of people don't accept the fact that we are animals, you know. And there's also almost like a point of superiority,
Absolutely.
and I think that comes also from a heavy insecurity.
Absolutely.
And looking back at animals, this is probably our best side.
It's the best way to reflect back what the good qualities of humans. There are similar qualities in a lot of animals too. I mean, Jane Goodall and Diane Fossey pointed out, you know, the gorillas will go to war with each other. They can do terrible things, and it's important to remember that that's not the bad people. Punish the bad people. It's all of us with that potential.
Yeah.
And you remember to say no to it, right? And that takes its power away.
Yeah,
So,
when I look at war and all the messy things that we do as humans, then I look at, you know, monkeys and chimpanzees and
We were
how
talking about
brutal,
that yesterday.
brutal they
Yeah.
are to one another. But they do have those moments
They
where they
have those
sit down
moments
and
too.
pick between the hair and
Well,
like,
even-
clean themselves.
But even lions, you know, we've had some
Yeah.
pretty mean, or tigers is the story. I
Bears
know, those two
are,
crazy
especially
tigers.
male bears. They see the cubs.
But they're you know, they're great teachers. I've been able to decipher a lot of things that I didn't mean to happen. Being a falconer,
Let's talk
training,
about that.
yeah,
'cause
training. I got into it because of the book My Side of the Mountain that I read. They read to me in the 4th grade, and I thought I'm going to do that one day, and I did.
What kind of falcon?
It was I have a red-tailed hawk. In the story, there's a peregrine falcon.
Yes, I
a
remember.
little kid. Frightful was the peregrine's name.
Ah.
But I've used that not just for, you know, it's amazing to watch. You become a spectator, right? So
Yeah.
this bird isn't trained. You didn't train this bird. The bird knows what to do instinctively.
yeah,
What that bird is allowing you to do is to observe and watch. But you look past those things. You look past the failure. Well, there's failures and there's success for this bird. If it fails, it's going to starve, right? But I started deciphering things in a really dark moment. First of all, I always call her my therapist. All my birds have been my therapist. I go into nature and then you forget everything. But they're great teachers. Determination, persistence,
yeah.
patience. And sometimes I have to remind myself about those things, you know, and they've been phenomenal through my career, through my life, just observing this animal. And I know it gets a little, a little deep, but it's there. They're there. She's teaching. If you have to learn how to listen to nature. You have to open yourself up. You know, the Native American ways of like listen to the wind and listen to the trees. I absolutely do those things. I've lost her in the woods. I've listened. Nature led me right back to her. Listen to the crows. Listen to all the little things, all the little clues, and the things are there. You just have to look for them. Throughout me, 20 plus years of me roaming these woods with this bird, I've learned so much about geology. I've learned so much about how weather, you know, changes things.
Yeah.
About stray dogs that you should defend
Yeah,
yourself
stray
against.
dogs. I've been cornered. Everything's happened. It's been I could write a complete adventure book on just hunting this bird. You know.
should.
Oh,
You
yes,
do have
please.
some crazy adventures.
You should
Everything,
have your own
everything.
podcast. Get like those
We will.
stories
You're gonna
out,
help us
dude.
with that.
Or
You're gonna
come on
help
my
us.
podcast and let's talk about
Sure,
because
yeah.
like damn, dude, the stories you have.
Yeah, I've had some. I
hell?
get myself into awkward situations sometimes.
Mostly troubles. Yeah.
Yeah,
Even so.
so-
You know, like what Manny's talking about is a good example of what we're hoping to do with Expedition Art. He read a story in the 4th grade that inspired him to do something later in life, to allow him to be open to new experiences
Yeah.
and help him further. That happened to be a book and a story. And I seem to remember the original book had the little illustrations in them.
Oh my God! Have you ever seen them, Ian?
They're
You
beautiful.
I need to send you a copy of the original. The lady was phenomenal.
And it just sparks your
Just
imagination.
beautiful drawings. Beautiful drawings.
It's a great book. And art, our way of expression, stories, the things that we hope to do with Expedition Art is the same. Art is such a powerful tool
Yeah, I
that
agree.
transcends language
Yeah.
and
But I
culture.
think it's important that the emphasis actually might be on stories, because art is one way of telling a story.
Yeah, I
Art,
agree.
pictures,
I
and
agree.
words.
Totally agree.
And for years, you know, when I went to art school, I wanted to be a writer. And I thought, oh man, I put my brain on hold. I'm just going to draw pictures. And it took a long, and then I realized, oh, I'm entertaining people. We need, you know, a break from the craziness of the world. So I felt okay about that. But actually, I feel exactly the opposite now. We have our hands on the power, the one thing that shapes everything.
Yeah.
Because I believe from the moment you're born, you write a story for yourself of who you are, what you believe in, what your values are, what kind of friend you're going to have, what kind of person you're going to be. Then you spend the rest of your life trying to make it come true.
Absolutely.
Right? And when you bump against something that shouldn't happen, say a president gets elected that shouldn't be elected, that shouldn't have been elected, you suddenly have to rewrite some of your story because this wasn't supposed to happen. And that means you're reminded that you made it up. Right?
That's beautiful.
And the nice thing is that if you learn how to write good stories, whether it's in pictures or words or whatever, you actually have complete control over your life. It's okay to know you made it up because by giving it meaning, it is meaningful to you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then to have yours and know that has to interact with the story of the people around you and the society around you and the lives of other creatures in the world and everything, that these stories, it's the interaction of those that will create the history of where we are. To know how to deconstruct that and make them fit well together
Yeah.
is of paramount importance. So, yeah,
And there's this thing about stories where they drive emotions,
absolutely.
and we as humans are driven by emotions mostly.
We're mammals, so
Yeah, we
Well,
do.
emotions and instincts, right? Because
Exactly.
really, when it comes down to it, you look at when the hurricanes hit and all that stuff. At the base level, it's survival. You've
Exactly.
got to stay alive, and people will do anything they can. But the moment that basic requirement to survive has been satisfied, out comes the next instinct,
Yeah.
which is altruism. Human beings will help each other in the most amazing situations, right? Terrible, terrible things, and they'll reach out almost at their own risk. It just has to be slightly above that survival level.
Yeah.
And people will
Exactly.
help.
There's this thing about emotions and empathy that just resonates with us.
Yeah.
And we're responding to it much more than to numbers.
Yeah.
It's
So-
like when you look at war, you hear the 5,000 people died in
Right.
whatever bombing. You're like, all right, it's 5,000 people. But then you hear a story of one of the people.
One person with this
And-
name who died this
Yeah.
way or didn't die. Their parents died and they had to carry their baby sister 50 miles through enemy territory to try and get across a border that wasn't going to let them in. Yeah, suddenly that makes a difference.
Yeah, or
It
you see
makes a
that
huge
powerful
difference.
image,
Absolutely.
that one moment, and you know,
Gives the personality. It's not just a number.
It also
It gives,
reflects.
gives the connection.
it's a
Exactly.
firefighter carrying the little kid
That's
out
right.
in the blaze, you know.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny you say that because I think
frozen moment of story.
one thing that as artists we learn to observe so much. You know, I remember going to international falconry festival and I saw a man that really intrigued me. His look, his the way he acted, and he was a guy from Kazakhstan, and he was there representing the eagle falconers. He had a very stoic look about him, almost like an older, more Asian Charles Bronson. I always think of, you know, and it was something about him that intrigued me, and I thought to myself, just looking at him, he was very quiet. He'd smile a little bit. He still just smiles a little bit. I've gotten to know him now more and more and more, but something drew me to him. and sure enough, he can't speak any English, so it's hard to decipher. So I had translators. But later on, I learned that he had to run away from soldiers, and his dad and his brother were both shot as he continued running across a border, and it turns out that he's one of those. And I was right about the Charles Bronson adventure thing, because I saw he reminded me a lot of my grandfather, because he's super quiet, and went up to a booth at this falconry festival. Every country had a booth. So it was like Turkmenistan, China, Singapore, and they're all falconers, and they all have their equipment out. He was walking around with his hands behind his back, and then walked up to this, I don't know if it was the Czech Republic or one of the stands, Kyrgyzstan or something, and the guy had a bullwhip there. And this gentleman's name is Alik. And I thought to myself, I know if he grabs that bullwhip, he's gonna pop it. I know he is. And sure enough, he looked over at the guy from the booth and asked if, just in a gesture, can I pick this up? And said, yeah. And he walks back slowly and puts that bullwhip out, and sure enough, he starts popping it, and everything that I felt from this guy, just by observation, I was completely right on.
Right.
And I think it's the one person that I've drawn the most.
Oh, fantastic.
I can't stop
wanna
drawing
see
him.
this.
I
Yeah.
got to show you them.
Okay.
You'll be like, hey, you got any photographs of this guy? Because he's amazing. Just the stoic. So just observation.
Yeah.
And I think that has lent me being out in nature and observing wildlife, learning how to track, learning what I'm not this kind of guy that's like into survival or this and that. I know how to start a fire if I need to, but all that I take for granted because I was brought up in it, I guess. So just a first nature kind of thing, but learning how to observe has affected even my artwork.
Oh yeah,
So,
it
like-
does. It's
like,
ju-
I
that
think,
extra perspective you have.
You draw a scuba diver, you better get that gear right, because the one time you show it, somebody in your audience or somebody's going to be like, that's wrong. Yeah.
Because
So-
for what it's worth, you're also trained in observing. You've been
Yeah.
watching as long as anybody else has, and you know human beings so well so that when you go to sleep at night, you can recreate them with no anatomy classes, no drawing or animation
never thought of
classes, and they move and they talk well and they're beautifully lit. You did that.
Yeah.
You did that because you spent your lifetime training yourself how to do it, and really drawing and it's just doing that when your eyes are open.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's true.
absolutely. It's
That's true.
neat to find like minds with the same passions. I think that's what makes THU such a nice event to be at.
Yeah.
We all have friends here. We all get to see each other maybe once or twice
Yeah.
a year or 2 or 3 years. But to sit down and talk about not just techniques or whatever, but what moves us, what we're thinking.
Right.
Occasionally, hey, Iain, what pencil is that? But
It's
other
one
than
of
that,
the soft ones.
yeah. Other than that,
The soft ones.
other than that, it's great, So
Yeah.
that sort of overflowed with expedition art, as far as like we all love wildlife, we all love the outdoors. What started as a blog turned into this nonprofit that we're actually making a mark.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel good.
Ditto. Absolutely.
I
And
remember-
whether the mark is going to be tiny or big or in between, it doesn't matter.
No, and it's not up to us.
That's
It
correct.
catches the error or it doesn't. You
That's
can't
exactly
predict it. But can I interrupt just for a second?
Yes.
Because you reminded me
Go
of
ahead.
the community and everything. And I just realized after my talk, there was this group of people that were waiting to talk to me. They were all waiting in the back of the room. So is there anybody here that could get a message to them and just let them know how long this is going to be? Because I want to stay and talk here forever. But I just want to let them know not to wait back.
We're gonna have a break in 10 minutes,
Great. So I can run
and
back
then
and tell them all.
and then there's after 10 minutes we're gonna have another, I guess,
Awesome.
45 minutes of this.
Yeah, great.
And I
I
know
just need to let them
Terrell
know to go
is
get
gonna
lunch.
join us. I
And
think
that's why we
last.
love you.
Oh, Terrell's going to join us?
Oh yeah,
listen,
last
forget,
15, 20 minutes I think, because she's having her
forget
talk
them.
right now. But I remember seeing things about what you guys are doing from your posts and Aaron Blaze posts. Aaron Blaze was an amazing person that I met accidentally.
Oh, yeah?
And then ended up working with
Where?
on
On what?
Tembo.
What?
Yeah, Legend of Tembo. We worked together. I was freelancing for the studio. And
I worked with Aaron on King of the Hills. Sweetheart. Love him.
he's like this cuddly
him Brother
teddy
Bear.
bear that is straight
That's
to
right,
point.
Joe worked with my brother Bear.
Phenomenal artist.
Oh, he's amazing.
And
a great-
teacher, and
Yeah,
animator.
teacher and just great guy.
And director and,
Right.
and
All that
writer.
stuff.
That's all.
the above.
That's all.
Yeah, it's just like knowing him, I realized how small the world is. Because by the time I started interacting with Aaron, I was also already working with Rob Ruppel, and
Oh,
Rob
sweet.
was the art director on Aaron's film, The Brother Bear.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow, this world is so small. But I remember the passion that Aaron had for animals, because the movie we were working on, it's just like, it was exactly like overflowing his passion and his like emotions towards animals, and how he wanted to express it with the stories
Oh yes.
and you know.
So were you an animator, concept artist?
I
You
was
didn't introduce
illustrating.
yourself, so yeah, tell us about you.
What's your name? We call you Magic.
We
instead
call
of
you
Maciej.
Magic.
Magic,
Ma-
Maciej,
Magic Kuciara.
Maciej.
That's how French people call you.
Yeah, that's how most people call me.
Maciej.
But you're an animator or
Illustrator.
illustrator?
Yeah, I've been working in games for like 10, 15 years, and then last couple of years in film.
Oh, fantastic.
Just finished a couple of big projects,
Yeah.
you know, Ghost in the Shell and Captain America, and
Really?
I get to work with. Yeah, I was working with what's freaking Darren Guilford. When you said Darren Guilford and Joe Kosinski, and
Yeah.
like how much you remember out of it. That was by far my favorite project, even though it was canceled.
Yeah.
It was still my favorite project.
Oh, fantastic.
Was there
Because
with,
it's probably because of the people.
exactly like I
That's
was there.
what you remember.
Phil Saunders was there. Darren, Kevin Ishioka, Joe
Joe
Hura,
Hura, yeah.
and Paul Osimo,
Yeah.
and all the other guys. It's just like so amazing. That's such an amazing crew.
It's amazing what you can do and how inspired you can be when you work with a great team.
It's really all that matters.
Yeah.
What I've learned
It's
working in
amazing
this
what you
industry.
cannot do if you don't have a good team to.
Yeah, yeah.
That's true.
Like
Well, you know, the funny thing in the film industry is I haven't seen a correlation between the experience of making the film and the film itself.
That's
So I've worked
totally
on films where directors screamed and, you know, threw chairs across the room, usually with people in them. And they were really not fun to work on, but the film was awesome.
yeah.
And I've worked on films where everything was great and really supportive and all that stuff, and it was a terrible film. But the point is that since they don't tie up together, why not have a great experience and a great film?
Yeah.
Right? You can have both. I think really the screaming and the shouting is just films need and stories need emotion. And the
Yeah.
lazy way to do that is to, "Ah!" right? And suddenly everyone had a visceral reaction to it.
Yeah.
The hard way is to slowly creep
Talk.
inside someone's heart and make them feel, make them love, bring them joy, make them cry. You know, that's takes more effort.
Yeah, I think it's also the thing you mentioned, timing. It's just having the right people at the right time. You might have 70% of the crew being amazing, and then the 30% that
Right.
is just good. Maybe don't care that much. Maybe that's not their project. Maybe they're just there for the paycheck.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if it has to be good. But I know on Star Wars, Doug Chiang was amazing at turning a lot of people away that didn't fit. So he was building a team the way you put a puzzle together. And some
Yeah.
people, maybe they may not have been the best draftsmen in the world, although we were very lucky. We got really high standards. But by God, they made that team sing, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, they were just the right
it
person there. that-
shows. It definitely shows because it was a solid,
Thanks.
solid
Well,
looking
that's
film.
Doug. That's Doug Chang. He just, yeah.
Too bad the
Yeah,
story.
even
but-
even in forming this team, it's been it sort of naturally has
Yeah.
formed.
all of you guys are in a way either storytellers, people that love to tell stories and have connection with emotions, and
It was just
connection to
like-minded
the
people. I mean,
kingdom of
Aaron Blaze
animals,
was a
but-
given. I didn't know Aaron very well. I chatted with him on Facebook. We've become really good friends. I know where his heart is. He knows where my heart is. I love his teaching. He's taught me a lot, and likewise, you know, to hear, like I said in my talk, you know, when I got on that horrible day that I got a call from David Terrell and then a message from Claire Wendling talking about my art, I knew I was doing something right, you know.
Just the fact that the subject is honest and is non-artist centric,
Yeah.
I think attracts the right people.
Yeah, I
Because
agree.
I mean, working with expedition art, you're not gonna have necessarily the fame you're after. Or what you're gonna have is just you helping.
Right.
And the amount of
It's not about you.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And the amount of people coming to us is crazy. I mean, even just at this event. I mean, how do I help? What can I do?
Yeah.
I love snow leopards. Can I draw a snow leopard? Everybody loves snow leopards. So,
If you had,
Everybody
if you had
loves
5
snow
minutes, if you had 5 minutes or less than 5 minutes to say what expedition art is, what would be your pitch? 'Cause I wanna get it like really deep into what you guys are doing
Sure.
after the break. But
So the line, first of all, is very ambitious. It's the tagline. It's saving the planet one drawing at a time. You know, and it's like I say, it's like a tiny drop on this planet, but maybe we're gonna create an ocean at some point. You know.
and I shoot big, as our producer knows. I have these big, huge. You know, I'm sort of like
you have
a
this
movie
big,
director.
Huge, you should big.
Yeah, yeah. I have this. I
No
have
pun
huge
intended.
dreams. Yeah. I go big. I go like, let's do this. You know, that may not be able to reach, but why not shoot for it?
Yeah.
You know, at least you tried.
Well, what's amazing too is we are figuring it out, and we're reaching out, and a lot of people are responding, and that's great. I mean, the project that we're working on right now is for endangered species and threatened species. It's a book. We have 54 artists from 8 different countries and 100 beautiful paintings, and the quality of the paintings and the phenomenal artists that we've been able to work with.
And the range too.
And the
range
range.
has been ridiculous because I had a vision of the book. You know, everybody thinks of what the book is going to look like, and at CTN, Terrell introduced me to this young lady that's a Disney artist. I don't know what she does, storyboard. I'm not sure, but she showed me her work. She goes, I really love animals. She showed me her work, and it was these 2 golden books, little children golden books, and I looked at them and I thought, I don't know if that's the right style per se. That was my thought at the time. But then I thought, she is really talented. How can I not say yes? Look at her drawings. They're beautiful. And the one person, well, I don't want to say the one person. The one thing that I thought was wrong is now my favorite. Like, her illustrations in that book are my favorite. And, you know, I'm glad I was open to that because, you know, one isn't always right or the right decision. So I like the organic. You know, you follow that river, it's going to flow wherever it wants to. You know, it's going to go. You want it to go that way? If the river doesn't want to go that way, it's not going to. And you can't do a darn thing about it. So you have to, you know, go with that flow.
Not if you're smart.
Yeah.
It's funny how we are sometimes reluctant to things, but deep in the heart we know that that's the right choice,
Yeah.
and then we just let it go.
You know, it's both. Because as an artist, you know that. You know what the drawing has to be. You know the story moment you need to tell.
Yeah.
And the drawing won't go that direction. And there's 2 options. One is to let it go, see what happens, but you have to be prepared to say thank you and then put it in a drawer, go back and draw the moment, or take the discovery and say thank you again. Or you need to understand what you don't know.
Yeah.
The reason the drawing doesn't work, the reason it won't go where you want it to, is you don't understand. You either don't understand how to draw that thing and you're trying to cheat and go somewhere else, or you haven't learned that lighting setup, or there's something you just haven't learned yet. Or more importantly, you haven't learned how to draw fig leaves, and so you can't finish your darn painting of the orangutan because it's not just shrubbery. And so you actually need to stop and go humbly and learn the stuff you don't know, and then come back to your work, and then it will go where you want it to, better than before, because you spent the time humbly learning something you didn't know.
That's the key word is humble.
Yeah, for sure.
And it ends up being a phenomenal, beautiful,
Absolutely beautiful.
orangutan
piece.
painting.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
It's
gorgeous.
mind-boggling. Yeah.
Gorgeous. I love what you talked about. I remember I presenting you the idea a couple of days ago about the other project that we're working on with the big cats, and you said like, "Oh, I'd love to tell the story about that one
In pictures.
snow leopard again."
I think that's a great idea.
You know,
I mean,
so-
if the
Yeah.
whole book was kind of more story centric, I think it'd be just a
Be fun.
genius
Just
idea.
remember what you said, though. A single image is not an image.
It's a frozen moment of story.
Exactly.
Right? All of us right now are frozen moments of story.
It's,
A character
one
design
frame
is.
of the whole animation.
Yes,
that you're
and it
trying to
came from
present.
somewhere, and it is going somewhere.
Yeah.
Just the fact that we were a certain age tells the audience we've lived this much of life. We probably have these perceptions. The kind of clothes we're wearing tells you what the temperature is in the room, and you can start decoding so much from a
Yeah.
single thing, right? So yeah, I think to put the emphasis on storytelling is really important.
And in
I
the
hate
end-
to do that, but we're gonna run into a break. Just
okay.
a minute.
Now I gotta go tell my people. So that works.
Yeah, so you are running to your people.
Yes.
And I know Terrell's gonna join us towards the end.
Yep.
Terrell Whitlatch. Am I saying her name correctly?
Yes, indeed. Yep.
So for the THU guys, yeah, she is in Lenovo room,
Yep.
and she's coming up next.
Yep.
Because we're gonna have a break here.
Yep.
So yeah, let's cut it here. Story. We're gonna talk about what inspired me to think about expedition art, and also why we're here.
Oh,
the
awesome.
break.
Can't wait.
Awesome.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.